I'm Karen Radtke. This is my life and work partner, Jeff Radtke, and we're going to be talking about how the myth of Icarus has inspired us as coaches and as parents in our life these days. So as of yesterday, I'm just completing a 6-month sabbatical that I had. It was actually my first paid pause from work of my life. So I went from being, at the top of my professional career, really getting a lot of accolades, standing ovations, people getting promoted, this very amazing experience, to being without a job. And it's, so I've had this great opportunity to practice and expand my compassion, to expand my ability to let go, and to expand my ability to put faith in the process. So I've had this spiritual counselor who's kind of been part of my journey, and we've been talking a lot. She's been giving me kind of advice as I've gone through this. And for those of you who have been through it, you know what that's like. At some point you're feeling like you're floating in in an inner tube in a void, just sort of, wow, I thought I was all of these accomplishments, or I thought I was all these abilities. But you come to realize in this time that that's not who you are. But it's scary when you're kind of in there trying to work it out. One thing she gave me advice about is she said, I really encourage you, so many skills. There's going to be this tendency to want to just, people give you invitations, and she said, I really invite you not to just plug yourself into someone else's need. Just wait and listen for what is it that's wanting to be born and come out of you. And so she said, I really encourage you to read this book. She said, I feel like it's your story right now, The Icarus Deception. So I got the book in audio form and started listening to it. And it was Seth Godin. It was my first experience. I know he's written many books, and I've heard of him, but it was the perfect time for me to hear this. Has anyone read it yet? So it felt like the voice of God was talking to me in a way. I mean, not that he is, but he was a real clear channel for what I needed to hear. And he talked a lot about how we've been so trained to be compliant and follow the rules that is, it's a way of life for many of us, how to, kind of get along in the world. So it goes back to the story, the myth of Icarus. So I'll just remind you, have you all heard the myth of Icarus, or do you kind of remember it? Yeah. So let's tell it. So the myth of Icarus is that what's his name? Dalius and his son Icarus were in a prison on this island. King Minos had them prisoners, and they were trying to escape. And so they built these wings that were made out of feathers and wax. And Icarus's father said, "Now don't fly too close to the sun, otherwise they'll melt and you'll, fall to the sea." So, so we all know what the story that happened is. It was so exciting to fly, and he went too close to the sun, and then he ended up in the sea. The part of the story, and so then what's the moral of that story? Well, don't fly too high because you're going to get killed, or listen to your dad, otherwise you're going to be in trouble, right? But what the part of the myth that we don't hear and that we're not ever talking about is you can't fly too close to the water, because if your wings get wet, they lose their lift. And so, this whole flying under the radar that we're all so taught to do, that's said directly or indirectly, that is actually the bigger fear for us, is flying too close to the water. And that's what we've got to be concerned with. And so this particular book gave me that chance to start remembering that I had to have courage in myself. He talks about, and we'll say, and Jeff's going to share more about this, about that our job is to put our art into the world. That we are not just compliance rule followers, we're all artists. For some people, art is putting together an assessment tool. For some artists, it's like figuring out how to bring water to people that are dying of thirst. So our art is all very individual. It doesn't all look like a painting, but it's unique to us. So trying to figure out what that is some of the message of the book, and Jeff is going to share some more of what he got out of that, and we'll give you a chance to explore your own artists.
I was loving listening to it. Thanks. So Karen gets the book, and that night she goes, "You've got to read this book." Now, she's saying it to a guy who doesn't read a whole lot of books. But I started reading it, and I couldn't put it down. It's been a fabulous book, and so what we're going to do in the time we have with you is we're going to tell you a bit about the book, some of the heart of the book. So hopefully you'll be enrolled and excited about getting the book for yourself. This book has been great for us personally. I have a number of my senior leaders reading it to really expand their idea of leadership. So this is for yourself, and it can be for people you coach. So we're going to talk about a couple of things about the book. So the myth is about don't fly too high. Now, it's not straight, it shouldn't be lost on us that in the industrial age over the last 100 years, we would have been told not to fly too high. One of the things Seth talks about in the book is, in the industrial economy, which we're not in anymore, but in the industrial economy, it was all about follow the rules. If you would have gone to a graduation of a high school in 1920, they would have said something like, men, you're going to be preparing to go off to school. Get a job, listen to what your boss tells you to do, and get in line and do that. That would have been kind of the standard graduation message, not one for today. So he talks about in the book this thing called the safety zone, and how our job was to create a comfort zone that fit the safety zone. So we had to get comfortable with whatever the safety zone was. And the safety zone in the industrial economy was compliance, standardization, follow the rules, don't fly too high. The myth really does have this other part that says, but if you fly too low, there's danger in that. It's as unsafe to fly low as it is to fly high. But in an industrial economy, not so cool. What has happened, and what the author talks about has happened, is that the safety zone has moved. It's not the same safety zone anymore. And our leaders are facing that, and we're facing that. See, it's not about compliance anymore. The safer we are, the less helpful it is. Everybody can get that? Now, I know in some ways I'm preaching to the choir here, but this is a fabulous book for some of your leaders to read who maybe don't quite sit in the choir book. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a couple of things. So what's the new safety zone? The new safety zone is bringing your art into the world. And again, what's an artist? Well, art used to be defined with two terms, fine and industrial. And then it got expanded to things like film, or sculpture, or ceramics. And today, in this new economy, which he coins as the communication economy, connection economy, he says that it's not the only purview of art, but it's also the art of leadership in the boardroom. It's the art of standing up and finding water. It's the art of saying, listen to the voice in your head when no one else notices it. It's been expanded. And in this new economy, the safety zone has moved to one of being able to connect people and to bring ideas and people together. Not as safe, but that's the new safety zone, and it's our job to bring our own comfort to that new safety zone. Not one of standardizing, not one of getting in line, but one of connection. Another premise he talks about in the book is what's scarce and what's not, and that's gotten flipped. So he says we're no longer in an industrial economy, we're in a connection economy. And the thing about this connection economy is there's no shortage of quality There's no shortage of supply. All of us have storage lockers for all the supply we want, right? Well, what is in scarce supply are three things: connection, trust, and surprise.
That is surprising.
Now, for some of our leaders, we might have to use a word called innovation. But I love the word surprise. And how many of our leaders who are very effective, and how many of us as coaches who are very effective, know that when we're connected, we have a strong foundation of trust, and we bring surprise to our conversations, that powerful things happen. So in his book, he talks about this, and he talks about that these are the new resources in short supply that we need to bring to the world. You know, it's interesting. Everybody who's talked this morning fits into this conversation and fits into this book. Alan, I'm still trying to figure out how. I'll think of something.
It's innovative.
It's innovative. That's right. Believe me, it's my blind spot, not yours. So, welcome to the connection economy. And the thing that my leaders are loving about this book is it's a new context for leadership. It's not just new stuff to talk about. It's a new place to stand on, a new place to listen from. The thing that they're saying is, I'm really starting to see that all that stuff about metrics and dashboards and following results and quarterly numbers, yeah, it's important, but what I'm really getting is how I'm going to move my organization, which is global, is I've got to find better connections, I've got to have deeper trust, and I've got to surprise them sometimes. And that's making a profound difference for them. So, those are just a couple pieces in the first 30 pages. The book is really powerful, and it's really worth both listening to and reading, because he's a great speaker and he reads his book really well. And so one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to do a little bit of a meditation with you, because we think there's places where we are being safe. I mean, we, the people in our chairs. And we are letting our leaders be safe. So we're going to do that meditation. I'm going to start it. I'm going to get us kind of anchored. So why don't we get on chairs too? Okay?
Yeah.
So now you're going to get your feet flat on the ground again, or put them up on your laps, or get in yoga style, whatever. And we have enough time, right? Yes, that we're going to do this for a couple minutes. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. This can be a guided meditation, so we're going to talk a bit as we go. I'm going to do part, Karen's going to do part. And we'll be asking you questions as we take you on a guided meditation. And if you feel compelled, close your eyes and write down what your answers are. So that's totally fine. If no answers come to you, just allow a feeling tone to move through you. So let's all close our eyes and relax. Take a deep breath. And let it out. Feel yourself letting go of the talk in your head. There's this book called The Untethered Soul, where they call that voice in your head your maniac roommate. Unfortunately, we listen to it all the time, but let's take a few minutes to just let it rest. So take another deep breath and let it out. Let's imagine that you've just stepped into a beautiful wooden boat filled with pillows, and I've pushed you off into the current. Let yourself float down this gentle river, this conversational river. There's nothing to think about right now but to feel the boat and the waves of the water as you gently move through this beautiful landscape. And as you're moving down this river, you rest and close your eyes and you start imagining and you start wondering all that's possible if you were more connected, had more trust, and you brought more surprise to life. Now, for some of you, as you're moving down this river, I invite you to just notice if your thinking is in your head. I'm going to give you an imaginary staircase down to your heart, and I'd like you to walk down that staircase to your heart or your gut. Take a deep breath with that. Walk down that staircase to your heart or your gut. And I'll have a question for you, and then I'll be silent for a bit as you let the answer come in. And the question is, where have I been safe? Where have I been playing safe? Where have I not had the conversation I need to have, or the courage to move forward? Where have I been playing safe? And just let those questions ring through your heart and see what answers come.
Now, as you're in that boat going down the river, you kind of reflect on a time in your past when you were part of a surprise. Maybe someone planned a surprise party for you, or something really surprised and delighted you. Think about, what did that smell like, that surprise? What did it taste like? What did it sound like? Feel like? Now visualize a surprise that is yet to be. Maybe there's a place where surprise is really needed. Just let that kind of place come to you in your heart and in your gut. Now we're continuing down our journey on the river, and the next bend in the river, we think about connection. In your past, think about a real, authentic, intimate connection that you experienced. A real closeness with another. What did that feel like? Did it have a smell, a color, a sound? And the final leg of our journey is trust. We see trust coming up around the corner. We think about a past time in our experience where we felt a deep sense of trust. Where did you most feel it in your body? So now visualize, where is a place where that kind of level of trust is needed? See a place where trust needs to be deepened.
All right, as any trip down the river goes, we must come to shore. So as the boat pulls into shore, you want to just bring yourself back into your body, back into this room, back into this present moment. And when you're ready, just simply open your eyes.
I'm just going to do this to clear for yourself.
Okay. There's a little design on the fly here.
Just take a moment just to jot down any metaphor or anything that you got, any message you got that you want to remember. Or if there's any of those places of trust, connection, or surprise or safety that sort of resonated for you, just the word.
We'd just love for one or two people to share anything they got from the process, if there is anyone.
I love the pillows. Like, to me, it was like, it wasn't just the boat, it was like the soft pillows
Yes.
encompassing.
I always think I'm on
How I
the
needed the pillow.
yeah. I always think I'm on the Nile when I'm doing this.
Yeah, colorful pillows too.
Yeah. They should only be colorful.
I was thinking about trust, and the way you asked the question was interesting because I think about trust a lot in the work that we do in organizations and how little trust the people we work with have in one another and in their leaders.
Yes.
But then for me, the trust that I needed was trust in the universe's innate goodness.
Yes.
And, so where I slip out of trust is when I feel like I will not be safe.
Yes.
So it was an interesting little exercise. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's good.
That's good.
Anyone else?
I found it interesting when you said go back to a time when, for those questions.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to go far back. I was really surprised at how present that is for me.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
great.
it wasn't something I had to dig back into the recesses of whenever.
Mm.
Like, it's right now.
Yeah.
Like the people that are in my life right, and that was just such a great feeling to have of appreciation.
Aw.
All that support and love that I have around me. It's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not a typical kind of group, normative group here with this experience.
Yeah,
We're, high authenticity, seems to be a value of everyone here. Thank
It's
you.
really not lost on us as we finish to just really acknowledge Karlin for being those three things and for creating that space for this. Because I do think one of the gifts of this organization is it really does allow us to connect with our clients in a very powerful way. I trust how this organization operates, and it's just very sweet. You bring innovation to what we do. So.
Well, I also, in my meditation, I thought the surprise, I actually thought about Alan's talk. I was like, wow, how surprising that this could actually be fun.
I know. It's good. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.